Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is week 2. Hope everybody's doing okay. Staying healthy, staying safe. That is just the first and foremost priority over everything else. So, welcome to week 2. I'm going to talk about factoring. I'll probably spend about 4 weeks on factoring, maybe even 5. That's how important it is. We talked to the geometry and algebra 2 teachers and even the geometry honors teachers, and they said factoring, and radicals. So we'll talk a little bit about quadratics. It's like walking in Chipotle and getting your burrito. That's an important part of it's kind of the end game of this. But they really want us to focus on factoring. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, before we get to the big lesson today, I'm going to show you, you've been factoring numbers your whole life. You took 48 way back in elementary school, and you wrote 48 as 8 times 6. Well, when you did that, you just factored 48. When you wrote 48 as 16 times 3, when you wrote 48 as 48 times 1, you've been breaking down numbers your whole life. You've been doing division, multiplication, you've been dealing with factors your entire life. You just factored 48. So 48, the factors of 48 are 8 and 6. That's just 2 of them. 8 times 6 is 48. You've been doing this your whole life, folks. Okay, factoring. You really have. Okay, so that's done. So I'm just gonna. That's the idea. You have been factoring for a long time. Then I want to review for you one that we did right before the COVID-19, where you take a problem like this, excuse me, a polynomial like this, and what's wrong with my focusing? Focus is kind of going in and out. And what we did, we factored out what was common. We found the GCMS. So we took 3, we took 6, and we took 12. Don't worry about signs. Don't worry about X's. 3, 6, and 12, you pulled out a 3. That's your GCF. And then we pulled out the lowest power. 3, this is 2, this is the invisible 1. So we pulled out an X. And then we divided each one of these terms by 3x. So we took 3x cubed divided by 3x, and we got x squared minus, and then we took this 6x squared divided by 3x, and we got 2x. And then we took 3x divided by 12x, and we got 4. And we're done. And we could check this by distributing. If you distribute this, you're actually going to get your original problem, and we are done. So that was kind of what we've done before, what you did in elementary school, what we did before the COVID-19. Now what I want to do is just go over some examples with you with factoring. This is kind of the basic factoring. We'll do it with special types. We'll do it with a number in front of the quadratic. You'll see. Just all kinds of stuff. So we're going to be doing a lot of factoring. So what I encourage you to do is, excuse me, just take out a sheet of paper and a pencil or pen and just try to do these with me. The good thing about factoring is it's actually pretty quick. It's not a whole lot of writing. So I'm going to take a trinomial, which is this, and I'm going to show you how to factor it. This focus is going in and out. I don't know why my focus is going in and out here. Okay, well, let's just see what happens. So here's the idea. You have a quadratic, a linear, and a constant. What we want to do is we want to break this down so that we can factor it. So here's what there's many ways you factor. If you go to YouTube, you'll see all different kinds of ways to factor. What we decided, what we decided to do at Lake Braddock is to teach you factoring by grouping. So we're going to do all of our factoring by grouping. So here's the idea. You want to take the a squared term and write it down here again. Just move it down, move it down. And what we want to do is we want to break this 6 down into 2 factors, but the factors are going to be factors of 8 that add up to 6. So we want factors of 8 that add up to 6, and that's going to be 4 and 2. See, 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 plus 2 is 6. So factors of 8 that add up to 6 are 4 and 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the 6a down into 2 parts, 4a and 2a. See, when you add those, you get 6a. So I'm writing the exact same expression. I'm just breaking it down into 2 parts. So we've got part 1 here and part 2 here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to break down just this part. We're going to take this part, and we're going to ask you, what's common between a squared and 4a? What can we, in other words, what can we pull out? What do they have in common? We can't pull a number out. Excuse me. Can't pull a 4 out because there's no 4 here. We can pull out an A. I think there's an A common to both of these. So we're going to take an A, open your parentheses, and we're going to divide everything by A, just these first two terms. Don't worry about these two terms right now, just these first two. So A goes into A squared A times, and A goes into 4A 4 times. So A plus 4. Close your parentheses. See what you do if you distribute, you get A squared plus 4A. So see, it works. Only worry about the first two terms here. A squared plus 4A will give you this. Now that's done. Now we're going to do this one. We're going to factor out what's common here. Well, what's common here? What's common here is a 2. So we're going to factor out a 2. So we'll go plus 2. And we'll remember, you can't pull an A out because there's no A here. We're going to divide by 2. And we're going to get A plus 4. And you can check this. If you just distribute, you get 2A plus 8. See? 2 times A, 2A plus 8. Now, what you have now is a breakdown of this entire trinomial. What we're going to do now is group this together. That's why it's called factoring by grouping. Now we're going to group this together into two binomials. What we're going to do is we're going to take the outer, we'll take the A plus 2. We're sitting on the outside. A plus 2, we're going to write it once. A plus 2, we're going to group that together. The outer, what's on the outside, A plus 2. If that was a minus sign here, we put minus 2. And then we're going to write the A plus 4 only once. We only need to write it once, because when you distribute both of these at the same time, you get this and you get your original problem. This is only a need to write it once. And what we're going to have is we're going to write what we're going to see, the same thing both times. A plus 4, we're going to write it once. A plus 4. And we are done. So if we take this quadratic right here and factor it, we're going to get this answer. By the way, you could also write it as A plus 4 and A plus 2. The order does not matter here. And this is just your basic factoring. Okay, so we started here, and we got to here. We broke the 6A down. Factors of 8 that added to 6 are 4 and 2. We broke it down into 4A and 2A. I always like to write the larger number first and then the smaller number. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to factor out what's common here, which is an A, divide through by A, and get A plus 4. We'll do the same thing here. Factor out what's common. There's a 2 common, so we wrote a 2. Divide each of these by 2, and we're going to get A plus 4. You have the same A plus 4 here, so we only need to write it once. And then you take the outer, which is A plus 2, and you write it here. And you can check this. If you were to FOIL this, you would actually get this problem right here. Okay. You go ahead and hit pause if you want. I'm going to go ahead and just erase this and set up another one. Factoring is one of those things where you just have to do it a whole bunch of times to get it. Once you get it, it's not bad, but you have to do it a whole bunch of times. Okay, so we're going to go, actually what I'm going to do here, I'm going to change this just a little bit. I'm going to zoom back out so you can see kind of the big picture here. Okay, I'm not needing that. Still recording. I think we're good. All right, let's do a second one. We're going to have x squared plus 8x plus 15. We're just keeping it very easy in the beginning. Factoring gets a little bit trickier as we go, but we'll keep it kind of easy in the beginning. Now, what we want to do is we're going to move the x squared down. Just move that down for now. We want factors of 15 that add up to 8. Think about your factors of 15. 15 and 1, 5 and 3. Hey, 5 and 3 work, right? 5 times 3 is 15, and 5 plus 3 is 8. So we're going to break the 8x down into 5x and 3x. Remember, 5 and 3 are your two factors of 15 that add up to 8. And then we're going to carry the 15 down. And what we're going to do is we're going to factor this by grouping. So we're going to group the first two together and group the second two together. So I'll just worry about the first two right now. What's common? What's common is an x, so I'll put an x. I'll divide through by x. And by the way, this gets easier and quicker the more you practice these. Okay, and see, you can just kind of in your head distribute. This is x squared plus 5x, so we're good. Okay, and then what's common here? These two terms, there's no x here, so we're going to pull out a 3. So we'll go plus 3, and then we'll divide by 3, and we'll get x plus 5. And we have common terms here, and we're going to pull out what's on the outside, and then we're going to write this once. So again, you only need to write it once. Don't write it twice. You only need to write it once because when you distribute this, even though it appears twice here, you only need to write it once because when you distribute this like it is the old-fashioned way, you're going to get the same thing as you would when you bring this down and then the x plus 5 only once. This row right here is equivalent to this row. Remember week 1 stuff. See, that's why this work I give you is so important. This is starting to build on each other. So it's important that you do week 1, week 2, week 3. Don't fall behind. I'm giving you 1 week to get the work done. Please submit it to me any way you know how. Google Classroom. Some of you are taking pictures of it and emailing it to me. That's fine. I don't care. I just need to see that you've tried this. Because again, just trying to get you ready for the next couple years of math. Okay, factoring. So that's it for this one. All right, just be patient here. I only bought 1 whiteboard home with me, and if I use regular paper, I just don't think it's going to be big enough. So I bought 1 of these little whiteboards, the one we've used in class a few times. Only bought 1 of them home. I should have bought a couple of them, but that's all right. No big deal. Okay, second one, x squared plus 18x plus 40. Okay, I want you to take a second and give this a try. Okay, remember what you do. Bring the x squared down. And what you want to find out, factors of 40 that add up to 18. Factors of 40. By the way, if you're confused about the factors, remember what you do with the graphing calculator. Remember what we did with the graphing calculator. With the graphing calculator, what you did is you went to y equals, and you typed in 40 divided by x. I'm using the old TI-83, but it's all the same buttons. And then you hit the second key and then the graph key, and remember you got your whole list of your factors of 40. So don't forget that if you ever need to do that. See, these are all my factors of 40, starting with 1. Kind of hard to see, but that's what that is. Okay, so hopefully you won't need the calculator too often for factors, but if you do, you've got it. Factors of 40 that add to 18 are going to be, factors of 40 that add up to 18 are going to be what? Factors of 40 that add up to, oh, you know what I did? I'm sorry. I copied this down wrong. This is 13. My fault. You can all laugh at me now. Like, Mr. Purdy, there are no factors of 40 that add up to 18. I'm sorry. Yes, 13. That's, hello. I'm sorry. Factors of 40 that add up to 13 are 8 and 5. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. I'm just human. Okay, see what we did. Factors of 40 that add up to 13 are 8 and 5. 8 and 5. I don't know why this focus thing is going in and out. It's kind of annoying. Okay, take the first 2 and group them together. So we're going to take an x, and we're going to write it as x plus 8. I'm going to start going a little bit faster with some of these because I think you're getting it. Okay, what's common here is a 5, so we'll write a 5. Remember, no x, don't pull an x out. And then divide by 5, you're going to get x plus 8. And notice, these are always the same. These are always the same. If you do this the right way, these should always be the same. Now, take your outer, which is x plus 5, and write that, group that together, and then write the x plus 8 one time, and you're fine. Now, how would you check these? You would FOIL. Remember FOIL? Again, that's why week 1 assignment is so important. If you FOIL this, you're going to get this. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep moving here. This is going to be kind of a somewhat long video. We're going to have to just get through it. You know, the good thing about a video, like I always say, is if it's one of those things where you kind of get it, you can just kind of fast forward it to a part you don't understand. Okay, in honors again, we throw another variable into the mix here. It's going to make you think just a little bit more. We have a quadratic in the beginning and a quadratic at the end. The idea is the same. Bring your x squared down. Now what we want to do, don't worry about the x, don't worry about the y's right now. You want factors of 56 that add up to 15. Factors of 56 that add up to 15. Factors of 56 that add up to 15. That's going to be 8 and 7. What we're going to do is we're going to write the 15xy as 8xy and 7xy. Keep in mind, if you add these together, you're going to get this. Just don't forget the y's, and then we'll carry this one down. Stay with me on this one. This one's a little trickier, but you can get it. Okay, first two terms. What's common here? What's common? Well, I only see an x that's common. There's no y here. There's no 8, just an x. So we're going to write x, and then we're going to write x plus 8y. Boom. Now, looking at these two, what's common? I see a 7. I see a 7 and a y. Remember, no x this time. There's no x here. So 7 and 56 is going to pull out a 7, and we're going to pull out a y. So plus 7y, then, and again, this should be the same. It should just be x plus 8y. It's always good to check it, though. X, yep, plus 8y. All right, and we're basically done. So what I want you to do now is take your outer, like this, and write it as 1. So we're going to go x plus 7y as 1, and the second one will be the common binomial, which is x plus 8y. And we're done. Okay, I'm going to do this in 3 parts, by the way. This is the first one where both of these terms are positive. If you look at the original problem, everything we've done so far, both terms have been positive. Now what I'm going to do is just start changing these signs around a little bit here, just so we can have some practice. So I got about 4 of each. So we just did 4 of those. So about 1/3 of the way through. I've got 4 of the a sign change and then another sign change. So just stay with me on this, please. Okay, next part is going to be x squared minus 11x. See, there's your change, plus 24. Notice now the middle term is negative. Last term is positive. That sign of the last term is always really, really important. Let me see if I can. Does that do anything? No, that just turns it. What is focus thing? It's just, I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what the deal is with this focus thing. It's just going in and out. I'll just have to play with this automatic focus here. Let's try that one. I hit a button. Let's just see if that works. I'm learning this hover cam. All right, it's the same idea. Move the x squared down. Now you want factors of 24, again, that add up to 11. Factors of 24 that add up to 11 are going to be 8 and 3. But here's the difference, though. Because this is now a minus sign, we're going to write negative 8x. I always like to put the larger number first, and then the negative 3x. And remember, if you combine these, you're going to get negative 11. Because this is negative, these both have to be negative. See, when you combine these, so you don't want to make these plus signs because that's not going to be positive 11. We want negative 11. Okay, we want to make both these negative because we need to end up with a negative 11, and we're going to move the 24 down. So this is just as easy. Just have to watch the signs. Okay, now we're going to take these two and factor out what's common. Again, that's an x, and what you're going to get now this time is x minus 8. Just look at it. You'll see it. X squared minus 8x. Okay, now this is a minus here, so now we're going to factor out a 3. But we're going to make it a minus 3. Why? Because that's negative. We can't make this positive because that's going to be a negative number. So we're going to factor out a negative 3, and that's going to, again, give us x minus 8. Remember, you're taking negative 24 divided by negative 3. That's how you get negative 8. Now, what's your answer going to be? We'll take the outer. The outer is going to be x minus 3 times x minus 8. The question I get a lot is, Mr. Purdy, can I write, and I've already answered this once, but I'll do it again. The question I get a lot is, Mr. Purdy, can I write it as x minus 8 first and then x minus 3? Sure. Absolutely. Yep. Okay, that's the commutative property here. That doesn't matter the order. We can put this first and this second. I always just like to put the outer ones first and then the common ones second. That's just me. Okay? Another good thing about a video is anytime you want to take a break, just hit pause and send some text messages, use the restroom, grab a snack, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to keep going, though, because I don't want a whole lot of, I don't want to use up a whole lot of videos, already 19 minutes. Okay, this could be a long one. All right, x squared. What I encourage you to do, too, is maybe hit the pause button before I do this. Like for instance, I just wrote this down. Maybe you might want to pause it, try it yourself, and then play it, and then see if you got it right. Just a couple ideas with videos that you really can't do in class too well. With videos, you can. Okay, so take the x squared and move it down. Now we want factors of 30 that add up to 13. Don't worry about the negative sign. Factors of 30 that add up to 13. Factors of 30 that add up to 13 are 10 and 3. Right? I believe 10 and 3. Okay, so we're going to go minus 10x and minus 3x. Again, has to be two minus signs because we need to get negative 13 when we combine these, and then plus 30. Just think about it for a second. Negative 10x minus 3x is negative 13x. See, that's why we need the negative signs here, because this middle term is negative. Okay, same idea. Factor out what's common on the left, these two. So we'll pull out an x, and we'll get x minus 10. Okay, and then this is minus, so we're going to pull out a 3. You have a 3 and a 30, so we're going to pull out a 3, and we should get x minus 10. Okay, you can just kind of mentally distribute it real quick. Negative 3x plus 30. See the two negative signs? Plus 30. So what you're going to have now, when you put it together, are the outer x minus 3, and don't forget the sign, x minus 3, and then x minus 10. Ladies and gentlemen, you are factoring. I did this in my senior year of college when I took differential equations. So we did factoring. We've been doing factoring. Factoring is going to be part of this thing for a while. Lots and lots of factoring. Okay, let's keep going. I have 6 more, okay? Just hang with me. 6 more. I want to do 4 of each. All right, you're not always going to see X's, by the way. Remember our first example was an A. Sometimes, for whatever reason, textbooks, SOL, whatever, they're going to just use different letters of the alphabet. It's no big deal. M squared is still a quadratic, so M squared minus 11mn plus 28n squared. Okay, don't let the two variables fool you. Please don't. Okay, I'm not trying to fool you. So hit the m squared, carry it down. Okay, factors of 28 that add up to 11. Factors of 28 that add up to 11. You got to think about that for a second. Factors of 28 that add up to 11 are 7 and 4. So we're going to go 7 minus 7mn minus 4mn, and then we'll rewrite the last term just like we see it. I hope you're seeing this now. Here's the idea. Factors of 28 that add up to 11 are going to be 7 and 4. But because this is a minus 11, we want a negative 7 and a negative 4. Just look at the sign of that middle term. If this was a plus, then these would be 2 plus signs. Okay. Now, factor out what's common here. I see an m. So I'm going to go m, and then m minus 7n. Close it up. Okay, minus 4. N, this time pull out an N as in Nancy. And now you're going to have the same thing. It should be m minus 7n. So your answer is going to be m minus 4n. This is one of the trickiest ones of the whole day, so you might want to pause and rewind this a second time. I'm not going to go over the second time because this video is already 23 minutes long, and I still have a whole other section to do. So just if there's questions, just please email me. But you might want to just pause this one and then watch this one again. Okay, you know I want to help you. I always do. I just don't want to give you a 45-minute video. So I want to make these a little bit quicker if I can. Okay, let me show you one that you're going to see from time to time. 3x squared minus 48x plus 84. One thing that you always want to do, and I haven't mentioned this yet, is you always want to be, when you get a factoring problem, you always want to ask yourself, can I factor something out? Can I simplify this? So what you usually want to do, if you see a number in front, see if that number goes into this number and this number. If it does, you can simplify this. And actually 3 goes into 48 and 84. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a 3. So I'm going to I can't factor an x out because there's no x here. I'm just going to factor out a 3. So what we're going to have now is x squared minus 16x plus 28. And what that does now we can work with this one. The 3 we're just going to keep as part of our answer. We're just going to continue to drop it down every single time. It will be part of our answer, but it won't be part of the factoring problem. So now, in fact, let me just do this. Let's just set this aside way over here. We don't need the 3 right now. Let's just work with this. So move the x squared down. Factors of 28 that add up to 16 are 14 and 2. So we're going to break it down into 14x and 2x, and then I'll move the 28 down. Don't worry about this 3 right now. Just deal with this. Okay, what's common on the left is an x, so x and then x minus 14. And then you've got a 2 that's common here, but it's a minus 2. And you're going to have x minus 14. So now, your answer is going to be x minus 2, like we've been doing, and x minus 14. But because you factor the 3 out, it has to be part of your final answer. So this is going to be your final answer here. Not trying to confuse you, just be aware when you see a problem when there's a number in front of the quadratic, because normally there hasn't been, but sometimes there will be. Always try to factor something out first, like we just did. Okay, one more section. I'm going to do one more sign change with you. This is what I call just the basic factoring. If we had class, I would be giving you puzzles on this and practice on this and a hallway activity on this. Factoring is vital. Just one of the most important things we'll do all year. And I have to just make videos on it for you. Okay, let's do the last part here. This one's a little different, so please don't stop the video now thinking, oh, I got this, I'm good. This is important for you. This is something different, something new. I'm going to factor this guy. This one's a little different. Notice the last term is negative here. So here's what we're going to do. This one's different. I'm going to take the x squared and move it down, just like we've always done. All right, hear my words carefully. Listen to these words. Now we want factors of 3 that when we subtract, we get 2, a negative 2. We want factors of 3 that when we subtract, we get 2. Well, that's obviously 3 and 1, right? 3 times 1 is 3. Don't worry about the signs right now. Factors of 3 that when we subtract give you 2 are 3 and 1. But here's the idea. So, in fact, if you want, you can write them off here. 3 and 1. Factors of 3. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2. Now, why are we subtracting? We're subtracting because our middle term is negative and our last term is negative. And I'm going to show you this when we actually check our answer. What we're going to do now is, we're not going to just arbitrarily write these numbers in. We need to think about what we're doing. We need to come up with a negative 2. So we're going to go x squared minus 3x plus 1x minus 3. Well, Mr. Purdy, you've already confused me. Hold on. Think about what you're doing. We know we need to use a 3 and a 1. We know those have to be used. But we have to get a negative 2. So we need to go negative 3x plus 1x. See, when you combine these, you get negative 2. And again, I always want to put the larger number first. Okay, don't look at the sign. 3 is bigger than 1. I want to do that one first. Okay, stay with me on this. This just gets a little tricky. Now, what's common here is an x. Okay, divide by x, you're going to get x minus 3. Okay, this is a positive 1, so we're going to factor out just a 1. Yeah, there has to be a number here, so we're going to factor out a 1, and then we're going to divide by the 1. We're just going to get x minus 3. This has appeared twice, so now when you put it together, you're going to get x plus 1, and then x minus 3. And we're done. Okay, I got 3 more examples to show you dealing with this weird process. Please stay with me on this. Watch this video. Almost done. Just 3 more left, but this is the trickiest part, so stay with me on this. All right, next one. X squared minus x minus 12. Now think about that. That's the ghost 1, right? That's the invisible 1. So move your x squared down, just like we've always done. Now think about this. We want factors of 12 that when you subtract give you 1. Factors of 12 that when you subtract give you 1. Well, that's going to be 4 and 3, right? Isn't it? 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 minus 3 is 1. That's a 3. Sorry. So now, think about it now. You need to get a negative 1. So when you write these out, you got to write them so that you get a negative 1x. So you don't just pop in numbers here. You need to make sure you do it the right way. So I'm going to go x squared minus 4x plus 3x. Now, Mr. Purdy, can we write it as 3x minus 4x? Yes, you could. You could also go 3x minus 4x. But again, I always just like to write the larger number first. Either way is fine. Do you see the middle? When you combine these, you're going to get -1. Negative 4x plus 3x is -1. Folks, you got to know you got to be really good with integers to do this. Okay, just being honest with you. So now, take these first two, factor out what's common. So you're going to get x, and you're going to get x minus 4. Here, what's common is a 3. So we're going to go plus 3, and then x minus 4. Put it together, you will get x plus 3 and x minus 4. Okay. Two more, folks. Two more. Hope you all are doing great. Please, please, please do the work I post. I should be posting these things in the next. This is Friday. I'm recording this video on Friday, April 17th. I will start posting these things soon. And we'll just be hoping and praying that Blackboard is up and running. We'll see. Okay. X squared. I'm actually going to just make one up for us real quick. Minus 2x minus 35. I would like you to try this one. I'm going to take one of them. I have my notes here, right? Everything's written out, and I'm going to just add this one. I think it's good that we have one more of these. I'd like you to try this one. Give this one a try. You want factors of 35 that when you subtract give you 2. Think about that. You can do this. Factors of 35 that when you subtract you get 2. What are they? Now you might want to hit the pause button and give this a try yourself. I'm going to keep going. It's kind of like when they record those cooking shows, and and have you ever seen a cooking show? They put something in the oven. Say, hey, bake it for 2 hours. Well, obviously they're not going to pause the show for 2 hours. They've already done another one that's already done, so they pull that one out. So kind of like what I'm doing here. I'm going to keep moving, but you'll need to hit the pause button if you ever need to. So factors of 35 that when you subtract give you 2 are 7 and 5. 7 and 5. I'll put it over here if you want the visual. Now remember, we want to write these so that we get a negative 2x. So we're going to go minus 7x plus 5x. And again, Mr. Purdy, could we go 5x minus 7x? Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Okay, what's common here is an x. So we're going to go x and then x minus 7. What's common here is a 5. So we'll go 5 and then we'll go x minus 7. Put it together, you're going to get x plus 5 times x minus 7. We're done. Okay, I'm going to end with this last one here. I'm throwing a double variable. This might be the trickiest one of the whole day right here. And we're going to do more. We're going to do so much factoring. You're going to get so tired of factoring, you're going to want to scream. But we got to do it. Excuse me. So we're going to go x squared. Last one for the day. X squared plus 8xy minus 48 y squared. Okay. We want factors of 48 that when you subtract give you 8. Factors of 48 that when you subtract give you 8. I believe it's 12 and 4. So we're going to go x squared. Yeah, if you can do this one. Actually, I'll give you a visual. We'll go 12 and 4 here. Now remember, we want a positive 8 this time. Positive 8. So we're going to go x squared plus 12xy minus 4xy. See, that's your 8xy. If you subtract that, you get 8xy minus 48y squared. Now, this one's a little bit of a toughie, but we can do it. Okay, what's common here? I think it's an x, right? So we're going to go x, and then we'll go x plus 12y. Don't forget the y. Okay? Now, these are both negative here. So we're going to pull out a 4. But we better make that 4 negative. Okay? And then we're going to pull out a y. See, there's no x here. There's a y here. So y. Now, when you divide, you're going to get whatever's left. X should be the same thing. Plus 12y. So when you're done, we'll put our outside together, and then we'll take our common x plus 12y, Write it like that. And remember, any of this can be checked using FOIL. Any of this. Okay, I'm going to stop this thing. I hope all of you are doing great. Continue to stay healthy, take walks, practice these factoring questions. Is really, really going to help you. You're going to do great things, all of you. Please do the work that I post on Google Classroom. By the way, if Blackboard is ever down, go to Google Classroom. You know how Blackboard has been very, very up and down lately. If Blackboard is down and I can't do a synchronous class with you, just go to Google Classroom and watch the video and do the work. And you can always email me with questions. Okay, this is Mr. Purdy on Friday, April 17th, 2020. I'm out.